Your mother's so great that Thanos had to snap twice for her. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Today we've got another Faction Essentials video on, this time on the Great Mothers team. This is a team that a lot of people are going to have because they're requirement characters, and all the characters that you need for this team are either really old or they're required for the more recent characters out there. So let's get into it here, folks. Huge shout out to my patrons. As always, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I couldn't do this without you. And if you want to support the channel for free, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Let's mount the algorithm, guys. This is crazy stuff. It's actually not that crazy, but let's get to it. So first off, what's the team? I mean, there are a few different versions. I think the best versions, though, are going to have the same, mostly the same components. You're going to either swap out Night Trooper for Marin, or that's basically it. If you want the best version of it, Marin's basically just a defense-only squad. It's gonna be able to help you stop people from all the turn meter gain shenanigans, just because she's so responsive and reactive to that. So otherwise, you're typically just going to have the two zombie troopers that aren't Enoch, because I don't even think he counts as a Night Sister, actually, but one way or another, he doesn't go on the team. And then Great Mothers, Morgan, and Night Sister Spirit. So in terms of Omicron and Zeta priorities, I mean, the Marin Omicron is absolutely amazing, and I think it's one that everyone should apply, but it's not really necessary for this specific team. Honestly, her unique Zeta also doesn't really do that much on this team. The Death Trooper Peridium Omicron, a lot of people say it's really amazing. Some people say it's not that good. I would say it's a lesser priority than the Great Mothers. Honestly, both of those for territory wars, a lot of guilds are requiring both, and I don't really blame them. They're both amazing. The Morgan one is also, if you wanna counter some truly amazing thing. I mean, go read the Omicron if you want, guys. It does some really cool stuff. We're not gonna really have time to go over all of that, but it is a really nice aspect to what she can bring to the table, and it's actually the thing that I'm going to eventually start running. I think next week in my own GACs, I'm going to start countering those Ahsoka teams, even with Ezra. I think this team can do it, though we're not going to cover how to do that here. That's pretty advanced. So anyways, you can follow this guide. I don't need to read it all to you. Just keep in mind, for the most part, the more Zetas and Omicrons you apply, the higher your chances of success. And if you hate TW, maybe you just skip those 2W Omicrons. I don't care. So just real quick modding and a few notes about these characters. So the Great Mothers, they just want a lot of protection, and so a lot of speed. Actually, they in a lot of ways they do want to be faster than Morgan is, just because they can do the dispel before Morgan does whatever she needs to do. Because a lot of times they're going to doom someone, and then a lot of times Morgan won't have the blessing, so Morgan is going to need you to dispel the buffs on your opponent team, so that Morgan can call the mass assist on the doomed target. So that's kind of nice to be able to do that. Protection is good on this team, and if you use them, for offense, guys, just make sure these guys are one speed faster than Morgan. I mean, ideally, if you're not going to be hunting Galactic Legends, it's not like the end of the world if you're a little slower than Morgan. But this team really does. You don't need much speed on anyone except for Great Mothers and Morgan, but you do actually kind of just want to max that out if you can. Morgan herself, she wants tenacity, she wants protection. She doesn't want all the crazy debuffs on her, and she wants to be really fast. And you know, get that protection on her, get that speed on her, and the one thing that you want to keep in mind, guys, usually you don't put the blessing on Morgan, you put it on Night Sister Spirit, because Spirit can do so much damage and benefits from it so much. But the blessing from the Great Mothers is all like, the one nice thing about it is, well, there's a lot of nice things. One of the really nice things is it prevents you from being insta killed, and in fact, when you're fighting like the Queen Amidala team, for instance, the blessing also helps you not have your turn meter reduced. In fact, against the Queen Amidala team, you do want to place this on Morgan. Also, if you're afraid of getting insta killed by something like, I don't think you're gonna have much play into like a Jedi Master Kenobi team or something with Kat, but if Kat did try to do her leap and take out Morgan, it would be beneficial, of course, to put the blessing on Morgan, because she'd be immune to that instant defeat kind of mechanic. So, or Nihilus, etc. Otherwise, you typically just want it to go on Spirit, just because Spirit can do some really cool stuff. But typically, you don't want to place it on Morgan unless she's afraid of instant defeat, or if you're countering Queen Amidala teams. So the Night Sister Spirit, this character has been around forever, actually, and she's just pure DPS, lots of damage, and so just give her lots of speed and offense, man. The one nice thing, the thing that a long time ago they did a thing called the nerfening, and the great nerfening, whatever people want to call it, and this really kind of infamous moment where CG changed a bunch of the mechanics for a lot of different squads, saying, hey, we don't want you to counter Galactic Legends with off-meta counters. We want Galactic Legends to be countering Galactic Legends, and then only a few select teams to be countering the Galactic Legends. And like the Darth Vader squads that were killing Rey back then just started to not exist anymore. I mean, it just didn't really work anymore. And so the one thing they changed a bunch of mechanics on these different characters. The one that they failed to change, which no one really saw much significance back then, but now it's very strong, is they tried to get rid of mechanics like this. As long as you have Foresight on Spirit, you just ignore armor entirely. She can do an enormous amount of damage, especially if you give her a few buffs. So that's a long-winded description on what she can do. She just does a lot of damage, guys. And she gets Foresight from a lot of different things, a lot of the different mechanics on the squad. And that Foresight is the thing that turns on her ability to not only do 100% extra damage, like just increase her on her offense, but also just straight up ignore armor, which is a pretty big deal. Death Trooper Peridia, there's one, he just wants to do some good damage, so I guess just do some good damage, mod him accordingly. And you typically want to keep him instead of the Night Trooper if you're going to kick him out in favor of adding like Marin or something like that. Night Trooper is also, so he does a lot of different effects that require him to have potency. You really want to be able to, like, you can reduce someone's turn meter all the way to 0 with him. You can also apply a bunch of debuffs with him, but they all require potency, and so adding a potency cross seems so weird for a character like this, but it is actually fairly necessary to do that. And then Marin, finally, like, you put her on defense with this team just so that you can't, I mean, this is like Bo-Katan really hates fighting this, for instance. Even though Bo-Katan isn't a crazy turn meter gain team, it's still, Marin is just so reactive and responsive to the kind of things a lot of these teams can do that you can end up really frustrated. And she can get holds. She kind of just stops certain counters. So honestly, I would typically, at least in 5s, I mean, she's not a bad addition at all. The problem, of course, becomes if you have a Nice Sisters team that takes out like Jabba or it has a different specific use, then Marin of course goes with Telzin really nicely. So it's your call. It's not bad. And the really nice thing is the modding that you use for Marin is actual to kill Jabba is actually the same modding that you typically would put on the Great Mothers. I mean, probably you wouldn't put as much tenacity on her if you were specifically intending for her to go on the Great Mothers team, but I mean, this isn't bad. They're interchangeable. I wouldn't really bother swapping mods out just because you're going to be putting starting her with Great Mothers or something. So just in terms of mechanics, there's a few that are important to point out. So at the very start of the match or the round, you have this doomed debuff where you select one enemy and you get it. Protection disrupts, which means it just gets rid of their protection if they're not a galactic legend, and they lose 20% of their max health every time the Great Mothers take a turn, which is nice. So at some point they turn into like a character with 1 health remaining, and you just get to take them out. If you haven't taken them out before, they don't get to revive when that happens. Once the target dies, you get to select a new target for this. So it's really nice. It's really nice. They don't get a revive once you kill them. So and then you get to once you're done selecting your doomed debuff on an enemy character, then you select your blessing buff, which is the one I've been kind of referencing. This is the one that stops you from being instant killed. So sometimes you put it on Morgan, usually you put it onto Spirit though, and it allows you to ignore taunt and to target the doomed enemy. One thing I didn't actually point out in this mechanics, guys, that I should point out right now is against a light side opponent, Great Mothers do a couple of interesting things. The one I want to point out though, because I don't want to fill your head with completely worthless facts, you get to ignore taunt if it's a light side leader. So that you can ignore taunt with the Great Mothers to doom someone that is that isn't taunting, which is really nice. So against like Queen Amidala, you can just immediately doom Queen Amidala, and then if you put the blessing onto Morgan, then once Morgan gets a turn, she can call a mass assist and just take out Queen Amidala, just like that. I mean, that's what Thanos would do anyways, right? He would snap. So and then one thing to keep in mind, of course, that I mean, if you've read the kits, but a lot of you haven't read the kits, which is why you're watching this video. There's no revives really associated with this team. So there's no revives if your opponent's doomed character gets killed. So they don't get to revive, and also, even though this is Nice Sisters, the thing that characterized Nice Sisters on the other team is that they just get a ton of revives. This squad gets 0. No revives as long as the squad has Great Mothers or Morgan. Both of those kits have that verbiage in there. So no revives. You get 1 chance at this life, and then you're screwed. And then so passive taunting from Morgan, you get a bunch of cool stuff when she taunts, actually, like your team heals, you gain turn meter sometimes, like there's a lot of different cool stuff that you get from when she taunts, but she can't actually like select when she taunts. It's passive. And so the big thing is every time she taunts, every time someone gains stealth, she taunts. There are a couple other ways. Whenever a vulnerable enemy starts their turn, non-tank Nice Sister allies gain stealth, which in turn gives her taunt. So, which is nice. And then whenever an attacker or the Great Mothers are critically hit, then the attacker Night Sisters gain stealth, which then passively hands the taunt to Morgan, which is just nice to keep in mind if you ever need to get taunt back onto her. There's not a button you can push other than trying to make one of these things work. And then finally, the Nice Sister Spirit, I already mentioned this, while she has Foresight, which there's a lot of ways for her to gain Foresight. When she gains Foresight, she ignores armor with her hits, which gives you a lot of damage potential. I also added to that blessing buff at the bottom here, just on this slide only, that the blessing thing also makes you immune to turn meter reduction. So let's go watch one fight against an Ahsoka team without Ezra, which makes it a way weaker team. But let's just go see. I'm kind of just button mashing in this fight, but I want you to be able to see kind of just one practical application of using this squad. So here we are. We're facing an Ahsoka team, Galactic Legend Ahsoka, with Fulcrum instead of Ezra, which, like I say, it's not nearly as strong. But because she's a light side enemy, you can ignore the taunt on the Galactic Legend. And so we're just selecting Sabine because she can do some crazy damage. You can see how she doesn't have protection anymore, so we can just go and take her out. And so we can't ignore taunt with him. But Spirit has the blessing, so she can ignore taunt and just wipe out that character. Now we can ignore taunt again. Let's dispel things with the AoE. And then Morgan, because there's no taunt going on right now, we can call the mass assist if we want. I just did a basic for fun, but now she's taunting again, and calling the mass assist. I'm not sure why I didn't call the mass assist there, but it's okay. I'm still learning this apparently. So Spirit ignores the taunt, almost takes out Hera. Oh, Hera's gone. Let's just get Fulcrum. And then, so this is going to dispel all the buffs. Make it so that she's not taunting anymore. And now we can just, oh, I thought that would kill her. Apparently it didn't. Okay, there she is. So we want to take out the sides first. And this was pretty straightforward, guys. My modding wasn't really that great for this. I mean, they were all okay. This is on my main account. My relics are fine, all that stuff. But it wasn't, I didn't have a specific turn order or anything. I'll probably write a guide at some point, make a video with a guide on how to counter better teams than this. We'll do some kind of a crash course video or something. But until then, yeah, I just hit auto, by the way. You can see the protection isn't disrupted. Until then, I mean, this seems like a pretty consistent counter, honestly, guys. And actually, I think that this can counter even stronger versions of Ahsoka. This was a fairly weak one. Like I say, like Ezra just ruins a lot of different comps. Though he doesn't have to. Great Mothers actually have some play into it. So you can see, I mean, Ahsoka takes a while to take down, of course, drag down to the pit, but you eventually get there, and the zombie troopers just do some nice, steady, consistent damage, and Night Trooper kind of ramps because of the blight debuff that he sticks on her and applies to himself. And I mean, that's basically it, folks. I mean, Otto's playing it, so there it is. Hey, look at that, 75 banners. So not too bad, folks. Anyways, I hope this was helpful for the faction essentials on Great Mothers, guys. I'm gonna let you go. So thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails. Take care, folks.